Arthur Conan Doyle, The Sign of the Four. Chapter 9. A Break in the Chain. It was late in the afternoon before I woke up. I felt stronger and rested. Sherlock Holmes was still sitting exactly as I had left him, but he had put his violin aside and was reading a book. He looked at me as I moved, and I saw that his face looked serious and worried. "You slept very well," he said. "I was afraid that our talk might wake you." "I heard nothing," I answered. "Do you have any new news?" "Unfortunately, no. I admit that I am surprised and disappointed. I expected something clear by now. Wiggins has just come to report. He says that no sign of the boat can be found. It is very annoying because every hour is important. Can I do anything? I feel completely fresh now, and I am ready for another night out. No, we can do nothing. We can only wait. If we go out, the message might come while we are away, and that would cause delay. You can do what you like, but I must stay here and watch. Then I will go to Camberwell and visit Mrs. Cecil Forrester. She asked me yesterday. "To visit Mrs. Cecil Forrester?" asked Holmes, with a slight smile in his eyes. "Well, of course, Miss Morstan, too. They wanted to hear what happened." "I would not tell them too much," said Holmes. "Women can never be completely trusted, not even the best of them." I did not stop to argue about this terrible opinion. "I will be back in an hour or two," I said. "All right. Good luck. But listen, if you are going across the river, you can also return Toby, because I don't think we will need him anymore." So I took our mixed dog and left him, together with half a sovereign, at the old naturalist's shop in Pinchin Lane. In Camberwell, I found Miss Morstan a little tired after her night's adventure, but very eager to hear the news. Mrs. Forrester was also very curious. I told them everything we had done, but I did not tell the most terrible parts of the story. So, although I spoke about Mr. Sholto's death, I did not explain exactly how it happened. Even with these things left out, there was still enough to surprise and shock them. "It is like a story," cried Mrs. Forrester. "An injured lady, $500,000 in treasure, a black cannibal, and a man with a wooden leg. They take the place of the usual dragon or evil lord. And 2 knights coming to help," added Miss Morstan, with a bright look at me. "Why, Mary, your future depends on the result of this search. I don't think you are excited enough. Just imagine what it would be like to be so rich and to have the whole world at your feet." It made me quietly happy to see that she did not show any joy at this idea. On the contrary, she lifted her head proudly, as if it was something that did not interest her very much. "It is for Mr. Thaddeus Sholto that I am worried," she said. "Nothing else is important. But I think he has behaved very kindly and honestly the whole time. It is our duty to clear him from this terrible and false accusation." It was evening before I left Camberwell, and it was already dark when I got home. My friend's book and pipe were by his chair, but he was not there. I looked around, hoping to find a note, but there was nothing. "I suppose that Mr. Sherlock Holmes has gone out," I said to Mrs. Hudson when she came to close the blinds. "No, sir. He has gone to his room, sir." "Do you know, sir," she said quietly in a serious whisper, "I am afraid for his health." "Why, Mrs. Hudson?" "Well, he is very strange, sir. After you left, he walked and walked, up and down, again and again, until I was tired of hearing his steps. Then I heard him talking to himself and muttering, and every time the bell rang, he came to the top of the stairs and said, 'What is that, Mrs. Hudson?' And now he has gone quickly to his room, but I can still hear him walking just the same. I hope he is not going to be ill, sir." I tried to say something to him about some cooling medicine, but he turned to me, sir, with such a look that I don't know how I managed to leave the room. "I don't think you need to worry, Mrs. Hudson," I answered. "I have seen him like this before. He has some small problem on his mind that makes him restless." I tried to speak in a light way to our good landlady, but I was also a little worried myself, because during the long night I still sometimes heard the steady sound of his steps, and I knew how his sharp mind was suffering from being unable to act. At breakfast time he looked tired and pale, with a small red color on both cheeks. "You are making yourself ill, my friend," I said. "I heard you walking around during the night." "No, I could not sleep," he answered. "This terrible problem is taking all my energy. It is too much to be stopped by such a small difficulty when everything else has been solved. I know the men, the boat, everything, and still I cannot get any news. I have started other searches and used every way I can. The whole river has been searched on both sides, but there is no news, and Mrs. Smith has not heard from her husband. I will soon think that they have sunk the boat. But there are problems with that idea. Or Mrs. Smith has given us the wrong information. No, I think we can reject that. I had people check, and there is a boat like that. Could it have gone up the river? I have thought about that too. And there is a group searching as far as Richmond. If we get no news today, I will go myself tomorrow and look for the men instead of the boat. But surely, we will hear something." We did not receive anything, however. Not a single message came from Wiggins or from the other groups. There were articles in most newspapers about the Norwood tragedy. They all seemed quite unfriendly toward the unlucky Thaddeus Sholto. However, there were no new details in any of them, except that an inquest would take place the next day. I walked to Camberwell in the evening to tell the ladies about our failure. And when I returned, I found Holmes sad and a little bad-tempered. He hardly answered my questions and spent the whole evening doing a difficult chemical experiment, which included heating glass tubes and making vapors. It finally ended with a strong smell that forced me to leave the room. Until very late at night, I could hear the sound of his test tubes, which told me that he was still working on his unpleasant experiment. Early in the morning, I woke suddenly and was surprised to see him standing next to my bed. He was dressed like a rough sailor, wearing a thick jacket and a rough red scarf around his neck. "I am going down the river, Watson," he said. "I have thought about it a lot, and I see only one way to solve it. It is worth trying, at least." "Then surely I can come with you," I said. "No. You can be more useful if you stay here as my representative. I do not want to leave because it is quite possible that a message may arrive during the day, although Wiggins was not hopeful about it last night. I want you to open all letters and telegrams and to decide what to do if any news comes. Can I trust you?" "Of course." "I am afraid you will not be able to send me a telegram, because I do not yet know where I will be. If I am lucky, however, I may not be gone very long. I will have some kind of news before I return." I had not heard anything from him by breakfast time. However, when I opened the Standard, I saw that there was a new mention of the case. "About the Upper Norwood tragedy," it said, "we have reason to believe that the case may be even more complicated and mysterious than first thought. New evidence has shown that it is impossible that Mr. Thaddeus Sholto was involved in any way. He and the housekeeper, Mrs. Burnstone, were both released yesterday evening. It is believed, however, that the police have found a clue to the real criminals, and that it is being followed by Mr. Athelney Jones of Scotland Yard, with all his well-known energy and intelligence. More arrests may happen at any moment." That is good news at least, I thought. Sholto is safe at any rate. I wonder what this new clue is, although it often seems to be the same story whenever the police make a mistake. I threw the newspaper onto the table, but at that moment my eye noticed an advertisement in the personal column. It said this: lost. Mordecai Smith, a boatman, and his son Jim left Smith's Wharf at about 3 o'clock last Tuesday morning in the steam launch Aurora. The boat is black with 2 red stripes, and the funnel is black with a white band. A reward of £5 will be paid to anyone who can give information to Mrs. Smith at Smith's Wharf or at 221_B_Baker Street about where Mordecai Smith and the launch Aurora are. This was clearly done by Holmes. The Baker Street address was enough to show that. It seemed to me quite clever because the fugitives might read it without understanding anything more than a wife's natural worry about her missing husband. It was a long day. Every time there was a knock at the door or quick footsteps in the street, I thought that it was either Holmes returning or an answer to his advertisement. I tried to read, but my thoughts kept going back to our strange search and to the strange and dangerous pair we were chasing. I wondered if there could be some serious mistake in my friend's thinking. Could he be fooling himself in a big way? Was it possible that his quick and imaginative mind had built this strange idea on wrong facts? I had never known him to be wrong, and yet even the best thinker can sometimes make a mistake. I thought that he might make an error because his logic was too complicated. He preferred a strange and unusual explanation when a simpler and more common one was ready. But on the other hand, I had seen the evidence myself, and I had heard his reasons. When I thought again about the long chain of strange events, many of them small by themselves, but all pointing in the same direction, I could not hide from myself that, even if Holmes's explanation was wrong, the real explanation must be just as strange and surprising. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon there was a loud ring at the bell, a strong voice in the hall, and, to my surprise, it was Mr. Athelney Jones who came up to see me. However, he looked very different from the confident and strong man who had taken control of the case at Upper Norwood. His face looked unhappy, and his manner was quiet and even a little apologetic. "Good day, sir, good day," he said. "Mr. Sherlock Holmes is out, I understand." "Yes, and I do not know when he will return. But perhaps you would like to wait. Sit in that chair and try one of these cigars." "Thank you. I don't mind if I do," he said, wiping his face with a red handkerchief. "And a whiskey and soda?" "Well, half a glass. It is very hot for this time of year, and I have had a lot to worry about. You know my idea about this Norwood case?" "I remember that you had one." "Well, I have had to change my idea. I had my plan tightly around Mr. Sholto, sir, when suddenly he escaped right through it. He was able to prove an alibi that could not be questioned. From the moment he left his brother's room, he was always seen by someone. So it could not be him who climbed over roofs and went through trapdoors. It is a very difficult case, and my professional reputation is in danger. I would be very glad for some help." "We all need help sometimes," I said. "Your friend Mr. Sherlock Holmes is an amazing man, sir," he said in a quiet and serious voice. "He is a man who cannot be beaten. I have seen that young man work on many cases, but I have never seen a case that he could not explain. His methods are unusual, and maybe he is a bit too quick to make theories, but overall, I think he would have been a very good officer, and I don't mind saying it. I received a telegram from him this morning, and from it, I understand that he has found some clue in this Sholto case. Here is the message." He took the telegram from his pocket and gave it to me. It was sent from Poplar at 12 o'clock. "Go to Baker Street at once," it said. "If I have not returned, wait for me. I am very close to finding the Sholto gang. You can come with us tonight if you want to be there at the end." "This sounds good. He has clearly found the track again," I said. "Ah, so he also made a mistake before," said Jones with clear satisfaction. "Even the best of us can lose the track sometimes. Of course, This may turn out to be a false alarm, but it is my duty as a police officer not to miss any chance. But there is someone at the door. Perhaps it is him. A heavy step was heard coming up the stairs, with loud breathing and shaking sounds, like a man who had great difficulty breathing. Once or twice he stopped, as if the climb was too hard for him. But at last he reached our door and came in. His appearance matched the sounds we had heard. He was an old man, dressed like a sailor, with an old jacket buttoned up to his neck. His back was bent, his knees were weak, and his breathing was very difficult because of asthma. As he leaned on a thick wooden stick, his shoulders moved up and down as he tried to breathe. He had a colored scarf around his chin, and I could see little of his face except a pair of sharp, dark eyes under thick white eyebrows and long gray side whiskers. Overall, he looked like a respectable sea captain who had become old and poor. "What is it, my man?" I asked. He looked around slowly, like an old man. "Is Mr. Sherlock Holmes here?" he said. "No, but I am here for him. You can tell me any message you have for him." "I was told to tell it to him personally," he said. "But I tell you that I am acting for him. Is it about Mordecai Smith's boat?" "Yes, I know well where it is, and I know where the men he is looking for are, and I know where the treasure is. I know everything about it." "Then tell me, and I will tell him." "I was told to tell it to him," he repeated, with the stubbornness of a very old man. "Well, then you must wait for him." No, I am not going to lose a whole day just to please anyone. If Mr. Holmes is not here, then Mr. Holmes must find everything out himself. I do not like the look of either of you, and I will not say a word. He slowly moved toward the door, but Athelney Jones stepped in front of him. "Wait a moment, my friend," he said. "You have important information, and you must not leave. We will keep you here, whether you want it or not, until our friend returns." The old man made a small rush toward the door, but when Athelney Jones stood in front of it, he saw that it was useless to resist. "This is a fine way to treat me," he cried, hitting the floor with his stick. "I come here to see a gentleman, and you two, whom I have never seen before, catch me and treat me like this." "You will not suffer from it," I said. "We will pay you for your time. Sit here on the sofa, and you will not have to wait long." He came over unwillingly and sat down with his face in his hands. Jones and I continued smoking and talking. Suddenly, however, Holmes's voice spoke to us. "I think you could offer me a cigar too," he said. We both jumped in our chairs. There was Holmes sitting close to us, looking quietly amused. "Holmes," I cried. "You here? But where is the old man?" "Here is the old man," he said, holding out a bundle of white hair. "Here he is, wig, whiskers, eyebrows, everything." I thought my disguise was quite good, but I did not expect it to pass that test. "Ah, you trickster!" cried Jones, very pleased. "You would have been a great actor. You had the perfect cough, and those weak legs of yours are worth a lot of money. I thought I recognized your eyes, though. You did not fool us so easily, you see." "I have been working in that disguise all day," he said, lighting his cigar. "You see, many criminals are starting to recognize me, especially since my friend here has been publishing some of my cases. So I can only work safely when I use a simple disguise like this. Did you get my telegram?" "Yes, that is why I came here." "How is your case going?" "It has come to nothing. I had to release 2 of my prisoners, and there is no evidence against the other 2. "Never mind. We will give you 2 others instead. But you must follow my orders. You can take all the official credit, but you must do exactly what I say. Do you agree?" "Yes, if you help me catch the men." Well then, first I will need a fast police boat, a steam launch, to be at Westminster Stairs at 7 o'clock. That is easy to arrange. There is always one there. But I can go across the road and telephone to make sure. Then I will need 2 strong men in case there is resistance. There will be 2 or 3 men in the boat. What else? When we catch the men, we will get the treasure. I think it would make my friend here happy to take the box to the young lady to whom half of it rightly belongs. Let her be the first to open it. Eh, Watson? It would make me very happy. It is rather irregular, said Jones, shaking his head. However, the whole situation is irregular, and I suppose we can ignore it. The treasure must later be given to the authorities until the official investigation is finished. Of course, that is easy to arrange. One more thing. I would very much like to hear some details about this case directly from Jonathan Small himself. You know I like to understand every detail of my cases. There is no problem if I have an unofficial meeting with him, either here in my rooms or somewhere else, as long as he is properly guarded. Well, you are in control of the situation. I still have no proof that this Jonathan Small really exists. However, if you catch him, I do not see why I should refuse you a meeting with him. So that is agreed? Yes, completely. Is there anything else? Only that I insist that you have dinner with us. It will be ready in half an hour. I have oysters and 2 grouse with some very good white wine. Watson, you have never yet appreciated my skills as a housekeeper.